Welcome, Foundations A. This is foam rolling glute. So you're going to start basically at the sit bone and you'll roll down the length of your glute all the way up until you reach just before your lower back, really. Since you're doing this for 20 seconds, you're going to roll slowly between the top and the bottom of the movement. And then next, we're going to move to IT band, foam rolling your IT band. This is the same thing, 20 seconds, so it's a slow roll. And you'll be going from about the knee just prior to the joint, and you'll be rolling up right before your hip pointer, so you're not on the bone. And just positioning yourself sideways over the foam roll. Next, we'll move to quad, foam rolling your quad. This is the same concept as the IT band, so you're going to roll from the knee just before the joint up to your hip into the groin. You might notice that the inside or the outside part is a little more tender, so whichever part you feel the most, that's where we want you spending most of your time. Last of the foam rolls we'll move to is your lat. This one just sits basically just down into your body, short of your armpit, and then you'll roll from on your back kind of up into your armpit. Since this is a shorter movement, you'll probably you'll spend a little bit more time in this spot, so you'll be there for about 20 seconds again. And that is foam rolling. That's the first part of your pillar prep. We'll move into your movement prep. Okay, movement prep. Foundations A. Start with inverted hamstring. Standing on one leg, you'll just hinge at the hip, trying to be as parallel to the ground as possible with your upper body and your leg, and your hands are being held out to your sides. And when you go with your arms up, retract your scapulas together. That is inverted hamstring. Careful not to lock out at the bottom, the standing knee. Then we move into knee hug. Knee hug is just pulling our leg up into our body, keeping the rest of our body nice and straight. And again, keep your down knee slightly bent. Then we'll move to reverse lunge, forearm instep. Stepping backwards into a lunge position. The idea is to get your elbow into the instep of the foot, which you should feel a stretch in your hamstring. And then with the hand planted, you'll rotate towards your bent knee in front of you. After that one is lateral lunge, which is simply just stepping off to the side, sink your weight the back half of your foot so that you're not putting pressure on your knees, over your toe, and of course, hold your abdomen tight. Last one of movement prep is pillar march. This is just a high marching drill. So we just lift one foot as high in front of us as possible with the opposite hand going, and then we just march in place. The real emphasis on this is standing in balance and in as much control as possible. Okay, to start in our Foundations A workout, we have prehab, and this is internal external rotation. So elbows anchored at your side, hand starts at the midline, and then we just rotate away from the body. This is external rotation. Only things that we really care about is that you rotate as far away from your body as possible before your elbow comes off the body, and that you stop at your midline, not allowing your hand to come up completely across your body. For internal rotation, it's the exact same thing. You'll probably have to step out to increase resistance on the band, and you'll start from the outwardly or externally rotated position, and you'll rotate inward, right to the midline, no farther, and just keeping your elbow stuck to the side of your body. That is internal rotation. And I'll move to scapular retraction, which is next. Last one of the prehab is scapular retraction. So keeping your arms straight out in front of you, no bend in the elbow, you're just simply retracting your scapulas together. Imagine pinching a pencil or a finger between your shoulder blades. That is scapular retraction. Okay, final prehab, that's lower body. This is glute bridge. So pushing through your heels, lifting your hips high to the sky. Get your body as flat as possible. Make sure to emphasize at the top of the movement that your abs are activated and that your glutes are firing, so your butt is squeezed. Then you'll go back down and repeat the counts. That is glute bridge. Okay, this is Foundations A, and this is your total body power block. First exercise is squat press. So you'll first sit down into a squat position. Weights on the back half of your foot, knees don't go over your toes, keep your core active. Once you stand up, you'll press the weights above your head. In the top position, just extending your arms up, again making sure that your abs are nice and tight at the top of the movement, and then you'll repeat that repetition. Back down into a squat, and right back into a press. From squat to press, you go right into squat to hamstring stretch. This one is squatting down, putting your hands on the ground, and then standing up slowly, keeping your hands as on the deck as possible so you embrace the stretch in the back of your leg, and then standing back up. This is your active stretch. Then final movement is lateral pillar bridge with the variation of being on your knees. So down on your knees, elbow supported, your elbow right directly below you. Keeping your body straight, you'll lift off the ground, holding your stomach tight, and if you can, you'll hold your hand up in the air. If you have a hard time doing this, you can use that upward hand to actually hold you and lift you up into position, like so. Okay, this is Foundations A, and this is primary and secondary block. We start with incline push-up. Find a surface that's elevated off the ground. Your height is basically determined by how strong you can be at completing the repetitions. So push-ups are fairly simple. We just keep our body straight, bending at the elbows, dropping your chest down to whatever surface you're pushing off of, and then pressing back away. Big keys are just keeping your hands a little wider than shoulder width and your stomach tight so that your body stays straight. That way your hips stay and drop down with your chest instead of staying up in the air. From incline press, we go to sliding overhead press. You'll go find a wall, put your back to the wall, and with your hands on your sides, at the side of you, you're going to reach above your head as high as you can, keeping your knuckles against the wall, and they'll slide back down. And you'll do this one nice and slow. Again, this is a mobility drill, so you're trying to keep the movement nice and slow. Good. Next drill is RDL. This is Romanian deadlift. You'll grab your dumbbells, drop those in front of you. You'll hinge at your hips, keeping your stomach tight and your back straight and your knees slightly bent. You'll get your back to parallel to the ground, and you'll stand back up. When you get to the top, make sure that your hips are all the way forward and your stomach is again tight. Knees slightly bent. That is RDL. From RDL, we move to inverted hamstring. So one hand On the bench, one hand on your hip. The hand that's on your hip is this leg that you'll be lifting. So you'll be with your right hand on your right hip. You'll lift your right leg out behind you, extending behind, and then you'll rotate open so that your hips and your toe point open towards the wall, probably next to you. And then you'll close down, drop your leg, and repeat the repetitions on both sides. Next is standing cable row. From standing cable row, all you'll do is pull the bands directly back towards you. Just like in scapular retractions that you did in prehab, you'll be pinching your shoulder blades together and bringing the band as far back into your ribs as possible along the side of your body. That is band row. Finally, it's trigger point for thoracic spine. Our trigger point ball is simply just 2 tennis balls taped together. For this drill, we'll basically put the tennis ball right at our thoracic or lumbar spine, depending on where you want to start. And the ball should be straddling your spine, and you'll basically roll from lumbar all the way down. It feels so good. All the way down to thoracic, so you'll go from your lower back up to your mid back. And that is our thoracic spine trigger point. As you can tell by Marcus's face, it feels great. Finally, we have step up. So we'll drop our bench, but you'll go find whatever you're going to step up onto. It could just even be a step on your stairs that are close to you. For step up, we're just going to put our one foot up on the top. We'll stand up, driving through that heel. When we get to the top, we'll come back down. And of course, we rep this one out on both feet. Once we finish with all of our step ups, we'll go down into quad hip flexor stretch, kneeling. So in a half kneeling position, one knee on the deck and the other foot on the deck, you will simply rotate your hips forward underneath you and lean forward into that stretch. This is an active stretch, so you'll go in and out of the movement nice and slowly, just until you feel a good stretch, not to the point of pain. And that completes our primary and secondary block.